So, the press conference for Errol Spence, WBC IBF 147-pound champion, versus WBA Super, the main guy for the WBA 147 pounds. They're going to be having a press conference in a couple of minutes. I don't have the time on the screen, but basically it's going to be in 5 minutes. 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, March the 2nd, 2022. Is taking place down in Arlington, Texas. So what I'm going to be doing is during the press conference and after and whenever they go on like little breaks, depending on what time they start, we're going to talk about the card. Errol Spence 27-0 with 21 KOs, listed at 5'9.5". Southpaw, the truth. Last fight was against Danny Garcia, the beginning of December of 2020. He was supposed to fight Manny Pacquiao in July. That was July, right? When was that? August of last year, but he had an eye injury. There was some speculation on how long did he have that eye injury, and was it from the car accident that he had back in 2020, or was it the end of 2019, or was it the beginning of 2020? Well, anyway, miraculous recovery. His what was it, Lamborghini sports car, Ferrari, flipped over. He had to do some community service, from my understanding. He was, lost his teeth. Had to have some operations done. There was some many questions on if he was going to be coming back and what capacity would he be in. Would he be his old self? But when he fought Danny Garcia, despite him being an overwhelming favorite to win, that was a tough fight to fight coming back. Now, Danny Garcia's Achilles heel has always been, like boxers and movers. Look what happened with Mauricio Herrera. The SHO and Porter fight was a great fight, and especially in this era where you don't see too many African Americans headlining pay-per-views against each other. So that was kind of different for then, but he did, in my opinion, win, and the build-up to that fight, and even the closeout with the final press conference was way better than I thought it was going to be. The Mikey Garcia fight, let's face it, it was the money fight to get him in the pay-per-view stratosphere. But you know what's interesting? Is that this fight is taking place on Showtime pay-per-view, not Fox Sports pay-per-view. Many are feeling that Fox has finally given up on PBC. After Keith Thurman versus Mario Barrios, heavy rumors are that did 30 to 50,000 pay-per-view buys. Interesting sources like guys like Keith Idec from Boxing Scene said, sources that he's been involved with were predicting the pay-per-view to do somewhere around 70,000. Either way, in this day and age, that is considered, my bad, the press conference is going to start. That is considered a flop, ladies and gentlemen, no matter how you cut it. And right now, it's a lot of pay-per-views going on because you got to think the way things are right now. We had the very first day of the year, they gave us Luis Ortiz versus Charles Martin. That was Fox on pay-per-view. I don't think that Steven Espinoza would have signed off on that. Then we had Thurman Barrios, February. What was that, February the 5th? March, we didn't have a pay-per-view for March. Do we have a pay-per-view this month? No, we don't. But April the 16th, Spence versus Ugas. May the 7th, we're going to have Canelo versus Bivol over on the Zone. June, I'm guessing the pay-per-view is going to be either the return of Tank Davis on pay-per-view. If not Tank Davis, maybe if Deontay Wilder returns, which I think he's not. So basically, June and July are definitely going to be PBC pay-per-views, whether it's Andy Ruiz's return or Tank Davis's return. August, who's that going to be? God knows. Probably, no telling when Jake Paul's coming back. That's not PBC, but you get what I'm saying. It's going to be Showtime. September is going to be Canelo all over again, hopefully, the way things are going. Canelo versus Golovkin 3. And then it's going to repeat over again, where guys are supposed to get their pay-per-views. Guys like Errol Spence again, guys like Tank Davis again to get their, November, December. It's a mess. It's a mess. So the undercard, from my understanding, let's see if they put it on BoxRec. The undercard, from my understanding, Radzhab Butaev against Eimantas Stanionis. That's to be the mandatory for Spence versus Ugas. And then Cruz versus Yuriorkis Gamboa. Now, these two fights right here, I'm already sold because the winner of Spence versus Ugas deserves high praise. Like ultimate, like high praise. That is a significant fight. And to see Spence go up against an actual boxer, you know, because the last time, and I'm talking about a boxer with some pop, some real skill to him, because when you look at it, it wasn't Danny Garcia, it wasn't Sean Porter. Mikey Garcia was kind of supposed to be it, but Mikey Garcia too small. You know, the next, like close to a boxer was Chris Algieri. I was at that fight, by the way. He put a boot in Chris Algieri's ass. Was I at that fight? I don't remember. Yordenis Ugas, impressive resume, 27-4 with 12 KOs. It's shocking to me that he had such trouble with Abel Ramos and then lost to who? Amir Imam and Emmanuel Robles. Like that's, you know, it's like, but fighters, as they get older, you know, some get better from, you know, the experience that they've gained. And remember, I was getting a lot of shit because I was like, yo, what is going on with his arm? He's injured. And a whole bunch of fans were in the comments like, yo, ain't nothing wrong with his arm. And I'm like, motherfucker, it is right there. Like, you know, you even have pictures of him like holding his arm up and after sparring and shit. But yeah, he pretty much beat Manny Pacquiao with one arm. And Manny Pacquiao was on his way to go run for president of the Philippines. So impressive wins. And overall resume at 147. The mom fight was at 140. Crazy. Because he looks huge for a guy who got there in 140. Jamal James, Tomas Delorme, Ray Robinson, Sean Porter. A lot of people felt he won that. He beat the dog shit out of Omar Figueroa. Mike Dallas Jr., I'm still confused on how the hell they pulled him out of wherever they pulled him from. And then Manny Pacquiao, and now he's fighting Errol Spence. And he was lobbying for this fight. He was mad that the WBA was trying to make him fight Butaev. He was pissed. But they've come together, and now, you know, we have a 3-belt unification, and that leaves only Terrence Crawford. We don't know what's going to happen, but for some reason, unless Errol Spence loses to Yordenis Ugas, I do believe that I'm still hope, even though these guys are getting old now. You see what I'm saying? Terrence Crawford's going to be what? He's going to be 35 and let me check real quick. It's this year. Meaning, like, it's like, what is, I don't remember when his birthday is, but let me check real quick. September. He's gonna be 35. You know, these guys are getting long in the tooth now, yo. Like, this is the ultimate prime. After 35, in this day and age of boxing, to me, you know, in this, like, last 5-10 years or so, you know, just like athletes in other sports as well, like the NBA and the NFL, they're playing longer, and in MLB, they're playing, no, them motherfuckers, baseball play forever. Well, the point I'm trying to make is athletes are able to stay in their sport longer, and a lot of it is because fighters are not fighting as much as they used to. But still, in this day and age, in my opinion, once you start get 34, 30, especially 35, you start going down. You see what I'm saying? And I can understand what PBC's been doing is, let me clean up my side of the street first. You see what I'm saying? And then go after you because they got to split the pot. But now, Terrence Crawford, from the way things are looking, is a promotional free agent. You know? We don't know if he's with MTK or if he's with Daniel Conahan, the alleged drug whatever. Personally, I don't give a shit about none of that stuff, honestly. You know, people be acting like, you know, this guy just sell drugs and all that. It's like, yo, Don King once stumped the motherfucker out, shot God knows who, you know, and it's like, yo, you still gonna watch the fights, you know, so that ain't none of my business, you know, especially, that ain't none of my business, you know, still waiting for the press conference to start. So let's take a little bit of a jump cut on T3 Controversy with Fight View 360, April the 16th, 2022, from the AT&T Stadium, Spence versus Ugas for 3 belts. WBC belongs to Spence, IBF belongs to Spence, and the WBA, which belongs to Ugas. The winner is going to have to fight Butaev Stanionis next. And if you look, some interesting names are creeping up on the 147-pound mandatory spots. Like WBC, you got Virgil Ortiz. You got Boots Ennis and Virgil Ortiz for the IBF. Virgil Ortiz right here. And Terrence Crawford's next mandatory is going to be Virgil Ortiz, Boots Ennis. You know, McKenna is this McKinson guy is fighting Virgil Ortiz in a few weeks. I forgot exactly where. Oh, wait, the press conference is about to start. Take your time out. Like the video, subscribe. T-Street Controversy will fight you 360. I don't expect any fireworks or anything. I just expect for, you know, Yordenis Ugas just to be happy to be here. You dig? That's been like his vibe. So take your time out, like the video, subscribe to T-Street Controversy with WBC channel powered by the Vive Network. The links are down below in the description box for Roku, Android, Apple. Take your time, download it. I promise you some big things are coming. I know I've been saying it for several months, but just give it, just relax. Give it some time. Let's get to this press conference. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to North Texas, AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys, America's team. You know, this venue will play host to one of the year's most significant fights. You know, on April 16th, Showtime pay-per-view, you know, the winner of the main event of this fight will walk away with 3 of the welterweight belts and just one away from becoming the undisputed welterweight champion of the world. I'm Brian Custer, the host of Showtime Championship Boxing, and on April 16th, it's also the return of the truth. Errol Spence Jr. back to Showtime. One of boxing's pound-for-pound best, arguably the best active welterweight of this era, Errol Spence Jr. will seek to unify 3 titles when he puts his WBC and IBF title on the line against the WBA world champion, Yordenis Ugas. Believe it or not, it has been nearly 4 years since we've had Errol Spence and Yordenis Ugas on the network. It's also been nearly 4 years since Showtime Championship Boxing was right here in the Dallas area, or as people from Texas and who've lived here call it God's country. So it's been a while. In fact, our last visit here was when Errol defended his title against Carlos Ocampo. We all remember him stopping him in that first round with that body shot. It was a significant fight because it was the first time that a Dallas native had defended his world title here in this area in nearly 50 years. So it's good to be back. We love Texas because, like the network here in Texas, they do things big here. And this fight is big. It is a major fight for the glamour division of boxing. In fact, so significant, it is only the 16th unification fight in the welterweight division, one of the best in boxing. You know, when you have an event like this, you got to have major promotion. And this fight is being promoted by TGB Promotions and Man Down Promotions. I know what you're wondering. How about tickets? They're going fast. Tickets are on sale right now. They can be purchased at SeatGeek.com. Again, SeatGeek.com. It is the official ticketing provider of AT&T Stadium. A fight of major magnitude needs major promotion, and we've got one of the best. TGB Promotions. Their president is Mr. Tom Brown. Tom?
I know people don't really care about this stuff, but, you know, going through the motions, showing respect to the event and all.
Well, thank you, Brian. Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Errol Spence Jr. versus Yordenis Ugas is one of the most intriguing fights of the year. This is a fight that will determine who is the best welterweight in the world. And what a privilege it is to be here again at the home of the best professional franchise in sports, the Dallas Cowboys. And as Brian said, the saying in Texas is everything's bigger in Texas. And the Jones family and AT&T Stadium have a rich tradition of bringing the biggest fights to Texas. You know, after Errol fought up in Frisco, before a sold-out crowd at the Star back in 2018, I immediately went to Jerry after the fight. I started talking to him about bringing Errol here to AT&T Stadium. And he told me that night, right in Spence's dressing room, you have to bring me something worthy of this stadium. And I believe we've done that in Spence's first 2 fights here against Mikey Garcia and Danny Garcia. And now here we are delivering an absolute mega fight between Spence and Ugas. It's a sensational matchup in boxing's hottest division with 2 world champions unifying the title. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. You know, as he pointed out, you can't have a fight of this magnitude without a world-class venue and support from one of the most, let's be honest, successful owners in professional sports today. When I lived here and worked here, had to cover this team, this owner for a number of years. One thing I love about him, though, is he's also become one of boxing's best friends. He's a big fan of Errol Spence Jr., and he is the owner, the president, the general manager of America's team, the Dallas Cowboys, Mr. Jerry Jones.
Something about Jerry Jones always scares me, like he drink like baby blood.
Well, good morning. I've just personally, normally I would just come from, let's say out at the Star to come to the stadium for a little jaunt. I landed on this helicopter out here, but this morning I came from Indianapolis. Our coaches and our scouts are up in Indianapolis. And we're up there to look for the best players, principally that are coming from college today. And the kinds of things that we're looking for in those players are the kinds of things that you can see outwardly in the 2 people that I'm standing between right here. When we look at football players, we try to say, how can we measure, how can we dig deep and see what's inside, what's in their heart. We actually know they wouldn't be there have they not been qualified athletically to potentially play football in the NFL. Well, it is a pleasure to fly back here this morning and stand between these 2 great fighters. I had the most decorated person in the history of the United States, Medal of Honor winner Pat Brady. And Pat Brady said he had never met anybody that had been a recipient of the Medal of Honor, but what they weren't deep there, a great person, because they had to sacrifice themselves for somebody else. And invariably, they're great people. Well, I'll tell you this right now. The 2 men I'm standing between today, they have proven beyond any doubt how much they will compete, how much they will fight. It doesn't take me long to understand why they fight when I think of the excitement around the competition, but then I think of the excitement of knowing that you are the very, very best on earth in what was aptly described as arguably the glamour division of all of boxing. We're so proud of Errol. He's from here in DeSoto. But the main reason that I'm proud of him is when he fights at this stadium, he brings the crowd with him. As you know, we have a great, fantastic Mexican fan base. The Dallas Cowboys do. And Vaqueros de Dallas is very, very dominant south of the border and on the border. You can't believe the enthusiasm that the Dallas Cowboys enjoy and that this stadium enjoy because of our great Hispanic fan base and their enthusiasm for fighting. And this gives us all the reason in the world to do what I'm doing up here today. It is a big deal for the Dallas Cowboys to have this fight. These men are great competitors. They're great, great fighters. You have earned the right to basically be declared a champion in the welterweight division. To know when you get to that ring and you're out there against Errol, what's at stake in front of 50,000 fans or more out here. That's going to be an exciting night. So without any more fanfare, having said, number one, this is a big deal to the Dallas Cowboys. It's a big deal to this stadium. It's a big deal to sports. Showtime, I've always been a fan of yours. I've always been a fan of your continued support and promotion of boxing. There's a great place. It's a real sport. You don't have to worry about the end letting you down, or the center letting you down, or the quarterback letting you down, because you let yourself down or up when you're in the middle of that ring. That's who's carrying the mail out there. That's what's so wonderful, in my view, about here. You don't have to use your imagination to talk about the possibility and the talent involved and the skill and what's at stake here in this fight.
That wasn't on my
I
side.
do want it to be on par with one or two of the greatest fights that we've ever had here, and we've had some good ones here. So it's an honor. You're a credit to whatever.
Y'all think he was talking for like an hour,
about,
and they had to cut and like edit it, and this is not really live?
Congratulations, guys.
Old man rambling.
Thank you, Jerry.
It does mean something to have a billion.
Great thing about
behind you
Showtime, we
supporting
feel
you.
like we're America's network, just like America's team. We got a lot of Cowboy fans at Showtime as well. For myself and the next man I'm going to bring here to the mic. This guy, I really have nothing but the utmost respect for him, because he's the gentleman, first of all, who made this happen, helped put this fight together. And I love that he continues to evolve, think out of the box, push the sport to higher heights. He's the president of sports and event programming for the Showtime Networks, Steven Espinoza.
Espinoza is somewhat unrivaled, though. Like, I can't
Thank
think
you,
of,
Brian.
like, and you
Appreciate
can tell
that.
he really cares. He don't put on no bullshit fights.
This may seem
Showtime.
like a strange place to start, but in 1910, Theodore Roosevelt gave a speech in Paris. It's sometimes called the Man in the Arena. It's a very famous speech, and in it he said, "It's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly." Daring greatly. Couldn't be a better description of what these two men have done over their careers and their lifetimes, striving for greatness, encountering adversity, sometimes triumphing, sometimes not, but continuing to strive nonetheless. As we pointed out, the welterweight division has always been the glamour division. Sugar Ray Robinson, Sugar Ray Leonard, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd Mayweather. This is a three-belt unification fight. 3 world titles on the line. This is exactly the kind of fight that Showtime has become known for, the best against the best, the most competitive matchups. But putting aside the quality of this matchup and the importance of this fight features 2 of boxing's best ambassadors, 2 elite athletes who represent the best of the sport through their sportsmanship, their integrity, and their respect. It's often said that boxing is a metaphor for life. We're all fighting for something, personally, professionally. We all have our battles. But that's not a metaphor for these 2 men. They have each battled almost unimaginable adversity inside and outside the ring. And the way they've done so is a credit to the sport of boxing. Errol Spence has fought on Showtime 7 times. We're proud that some of his most important fights have been on Showtime. His pro debut in 2012, his first title victory in 2017 against Kell Brook at Sheffield, the first time he fought at a Dallas Cowboys venue against Carlos Ocampo in 2018. Today, Errol is the best fighter in the welterweight division and one of the 2 or 3 best fighters in the world. A tremendous body puncher, fundamentally sound in all respects. You know, thanks to the careful guidance of Derek James, one of the best trainers in the sport as well, Trainer of the Year in 2017, and in my book, again in 2020. But you won't hear Errol or Derek talking themselves up. They're humble and modest, but make no mistake, they're tremendous competitors. But for all his success, Errol is no stranger to adversity. Once again, he's coming back from a setback. He's been in this position before. Coming back from serious injury, he did it in December of 2020 against Danny Garcia, just 14 months after a horrific car accident. And now he returns back to the home of his and my beloved Cowboys to face another challenge, coming back from another physical setback and facing another top-tier opponent. Like Spence, Yordenis Ugas was an accomplished amateur boxer, one of the most accomplished amateurs in the history of Cuban boxing. And as seriously as Cubans take their boxing, that's saying a lot. Multiple national championships and world championships. But like many before him, he longed for freedom and opportunity in the US. He tried to escape Cuba 6 times. 6 times he was caught and put in prison. The 7th attempt, on a tiny raft, he was adrift on the open sea for 2 days before making it to Mexico. Made it to Miami, launched his boxing career, but things didn't go as planned. By 2014, he was retired, out of the sport. Things were not looking good. And it was a call from another a friend from Cuba, Aroldis Chapman, the star New York Yankee, who said that he would take him out to Vegas and wanted to give him a fresh start. And that was the restart of the career, but that wasn't a happy ending either. Yordenis has become known as a fighter who takes tough fights on short notice and doesn't often get the benefit of the doubt. But all that changed last August when Yordenis got the call to fight Pacquiao on 10 days' notice. This time there was no hard luck. This time Ugas put it all together, coming out with a decisive win over the legendary Hall of Famer. Today, Yordenis is a lot of things: a world champion, a father to a son with autism, a role model, and a champion to the people of Cuba. An accomplished world champion with humility born out of experience and adversity, a father, a role model, an elite boxer. That is Yordenis Ugas. That is Errol Spence. Now, these 2 athletes are on the footsteps, on the doorstep of history, ready to write their names among the legends. We're thrilled to partner with PBC, TGB, the Dallas Cowboys, and the Jones family on this event. Showtime is, without a doubt, the industry leader in the sport of boxing. We've been the home of big-time boxing for 35 years, longer than anyone else in the sport. The biggest stars, the best matchups, the most memorable fights, they've been on Showtime. Hagler and Hearns, Tyson, Holyfield, Chavez, Canelo, and Mayweather. They've all made their names on Showtime. We couldn't be more excited to be the broadcaster for this event. We promise to deliver the type of unparalleled world-class production that Showtime is known for, and that this world-class event and this world-class venue deserves. On April 16th, in this iconic venue, Errol Spence Jr. and Yordenis Ugas battle for 3 world titles, and more importantly, a place in boxing history. Live on Showtime pay-per-view. We'll see you there.
That is true. The quality of Showtime events is unmatched. Like, I will pay for gladly any of that pay-per-view.
Thanks, Stephen. Now let's get to the reason why you're here. Let's talk to the fighters and the key participants of this fight. To my right, your left, you heard Stephen introduce him. He's the 2020 WBA, the 2017 Ring Magazine Trainer of the Year, and without a doubt, one of the best trainers in the sport, and the trainer of not 1, but 2 unified world champions, Jermell Charlo, and of course, Errol Spence Jr. He's Derek James. Derek, if you would, give members of the media just a statement about this fight, your fighter, and his opponent, Yordenis Ugas.
Well, first of all, I want to thank Stephen because you took just about everything I was going to say but I was going to talk about how much Yordenis Ugas deserved the fight. From
Definitely
him never
deserves
giving
it.
up, from defecting, to him being brought back as an opponent, fighting Brian Perella, and just fighting his way all the way back to become a champion. And the night he fought Pacquiao, if they remember, I went in his locker room and I told him, I said that this stage was set for you because Errol was injured. So go out and make the best of it. Go beat Pacquiao. And that's what he did. And so I know that he's a very tough competitor. I know that he's the guy that, you know, fighters get better when they fight good opponents. And this is a good guy. And you'll see the best of Errol Spence. And Yordenis Ugas will bring it out of him. And he's a guy that I really respect, and he knows it. And so you'll see Errol shine because he hadn't fought in like a year or 2 years or so. But he's been looking phenomenal in the gym, and he can only get better. I'm looking forward to the challenge.
Y'all think this is Spencer's best opponent at this
In
stage?
Yordenis
I
Ugas'
think so.
corner. Again, one of the elite and best trainers in the sport. This man has been in the sport for over 40 years. All he's done, he has trained 20 world champions. Mr. Ismael Salas, if you would, give a statement about the fight, your fighter, and of course, Errol Spence Jr.
Good morning to everyone, and
Good morning, bro.
all the best
I like this
for
guy.
Errol Spencer and his trainer. Everyone here, being a long time, 6 years of hard work with Yordenis Ugas, taking him like the phoenix, you know. Finally, we get what we're working for. Is the top fight in welterweight division. Actually, we respect Errol Spence for his achievement, but remember, Yordenis Ugas always coming underdog, and I love to be underdog. And that night we will make a statement because he deserved to get what he working for. So with all my respect, and of course I pray for the best health for Errol Spencer and Yordenis Ugas, to give to the public, to give to everyone all the best in that night. April 16 will be history, and history will made by the man beside me. Thank you.
I'm hype. I'm all for this fight.
And his fighter. You heard Steven talk about both of these guys, former Olympians. This man was an Olympic bronze medalist, 27-4. He's got 12 knockouts. He is the WBA welterweight champion of the world, looking to unify titles. He is Yordenis Ugas. Martin Bader is here. He'll do the translation. Martin, if you could ask Yordenis, please give us a statement about the fight. And, of course, your opponent, Errol Spence Jr.
Bueno, Yordenis, un mensaje sobre la pelea y lo que significa para vos estar aquí peleando contra Errol Spence Jr.
Bueno, ante todo, buenos días a todos. Pero antes de sentarme aquí a hablar, a responder preguntas sobre boxeo, me gustaría tocar dos temas bien rápidos, porque bien importantes para mí.
Well, before I start talking about boxing, I would first like to talk about two topics that are near and dear to my heart. Go ahead, Yordenis.
Todo el mundo sabe, todos los que me conocen, que soy un hombre comprometido con los temas sociales.
Everyone knows that I'm someone that's very involved with everything that has to do with the social aspect of life, not just boxing.
Y estoy emocionado de estar aquí. Tengo la pelea más grande de mi vida. Pero ante todo, lo primero que quiero decirle es: soy un ejemplo de mi comunidad y pedir libertad para todos los presos políticos de mi país, para todos los presos del 11 de julio.
While I'm really excited to be here for what's going to be the biggest fight of my life, I can't let the occasion go without asking for all the political prisoners in Cuba to be freed, because I want them to be freed.
Y también mis pensamientos y oraciones para algunos de nuestros mejores peleadores que están en Ucrania hoy en día.
And my heart goes out to some of our best fighters, the best fighters in the world are in Ukraine right now. I'm thinking about you.
Y me gustaría que se unieran a mí en un minuto de silencio para todas las víctimas que están en Ucrania sufriendo la invasión rusa.
I would like us to please have a moment of silence for all the victims in Ukraine that are suffering through this awful war.
Ok, puedo responder todas las preguntas de boxeo, Kevin.
Well, now I'm ready to talk about boxing. Go ahead. I'm ready for your questions.
And we're going to get to them, champ. But now, let me introduce the unified champion of the welterweight division, Errol Spence Jr., 27-0. 21 of his opponents not made it to the final bell. He is the IBF, the WBC, welterweight champion of the world. He is Dallas's own, the truth, Errol Spence.
Thank you. I feel good to be back. This is a real blessing for me, just to be in this position in front of y'all. I feel like most people don't really just, I feel like most people take life for granted, until they're given a second chance. And, I've been getting a second chance at life, and I've been getting a third chance at boxing. And I'm just blessed to be here in front of you today. I'd like to thank Showtime. Like Stephen Espinoza said, I started my career with Showtime, had my pro debut, won my first world title overseas. Even today is like a reunion, just seeing, the Showtime crew and being there. And they're all saying they're happy to have me back. I'm glad to be back. I'd like to thank Jerry Jones and the Cowboys for bringing me back, and just realizing my skills and my potential, and knowing that we're going to sell this stadium out, and it's going to be a great night, great performance for myself, and I'm going to put a great show in front of my fans and my family, in front of the whole Cowboys organization. And I'd like to thank Ugas too for agreeing to take this fight with me. He's a tough competitor. He's a guy that comes to fight. I thought he won the Sean Porter fight. The Manny Pacquiao fight, he won that fight with I think a torn bicep or whatever injury that he had. So he's a great warrior, great competitor. But at the end of the day, I just feel like it's my time. It's my time to show the world that, I can win another belt. And at the end of the day, I want to be undisputed welterweight champion of the world. So this is another step forward for myself. And I'd like to thank everybody here today coming out. I promise you I won't stop none of my blessings and everything that I'm going to give you. I'm giving my 100%, giving my all, and I'm putting on a great show and a great performance. And thank you all for coming out. Make sure everybody tune in April 16th to everybody to order on Showtime pay-per-view. It's going to be a great performance by myself again. Man down, it's draft season time, baby.
Guys, let's talk about the fight. Then we'll take some questions from members of the media here. Yordenis fighting Pacquiao was huge. He was a legend, let's be honest. Future Hall of Famer. How would you, though, describe this fight with Errol Spence Jr.?
Yordenis, la pelea contra Pacquiao fue enorme. Una pelea contra una leyenda, un futuro miembro del Salón de la Fama, una gran victoria. Pero ahora das vuelta a la página, ¿y cómo describirías a esta pelea contra Errol Spence Jr.?
No, estoy emocionado, una gran pelea. Tengo mucho respeto por Spence, por su equipo, por su entrenador. Pienso que esto es una de las mejores peleas de todo el boxeo. Dos de los tres mejores pesos welter del mundo peleando.
I'm so excited. I have nothing but respect for Errol Spence, for his team, for his trainer. And what you're going to see on April 16th is two of the three best welterweights in the world face to face and ready to give a great show for the fans.
Bueno, pienso que esto es una de las mejores peleas de boxeo, dos de los mejores pesos welter del mundo y dos de los mejores entrenadores del mundo.
This is not just going to be a fight between two of the best welterweights in the world, but between two of the best trainers in the world, too. They're going to go head-to-head and show their prowess as well.
Errol, I know everyone wants to know, any concerns at all with the eye? We haven't seen you in the ring in a while. Any concerns at all with the eye coming back, especially in such a big fight against Ugas?
No, the eye's been good. Sparring's been great. I've been sparring. Been looking good. Of course, it's been getting hit. So, it's on point. It's great. It's feeling good. Have no worries at all. So don't y'all worry.
And it will be almost, a year and a half since we've seen you in the ring. Ring rust, all of that type of things. Will we see the best Errol Spence come April 16th?
Definitely. I haven't been in the ring in a year and a half, but I have been training. So that's that one thing I've been training, been focused, been in the gym every day. So I feel like it wouldn't be any ring rust at all. I feel like I'm very sharp, and I'm a lot better than the last fights where I probably trained for 2 months and then fight. But now I've been training probably for about, probably 6 months.
Yordenis, people wrote that the Ugas we saw against Manny Pacquiao was probably the best Yordenis Ugas we've ever seen. Can you top that performance against Errol Spence Jr.?
Después de tu pelea con Pacquiao, la prensa, la gente dijo, ese fue el mejor Ugas que jamás hemos visto. La pregunta del millón ahora es, ¿ese nivel de Ugas contra Pacquiao puede ser superado en esta pelea? ¿Crees que tenés otro nivel al que puedes llegar?
No, he sido un peleador, estoy peleando de los 6 años, siempre estoy listo para el desafío, he respondido el desafío y entonces voy a estar listo esa noche. Estuve listo para Pacquiao, voy a estar listo para Spence. Como digo, un gran peleador y estoy súper emocionado de estar aquí en ese desafío abril 16.
I've fought since I was 6 years old. I have overcome any and all challenges. I was ready for Pacquiao. I'm going to be ready for Spence. Like I said before, I'm so excited for this fight to be able to show people what I'm worth. And I can promise you, I'm going to be ready on April 16th to show you what I'm worth.
Errol, listen, it's no secret. Every time you step in the ring, you're fighting a hungry fighter. You certainly got one with Yordenis Ugas, especially with his background. I know when you were going to fight Pacquiao, you said, not only is this going to be a unification fight, but this is going to be a legacy fight for me. How would you then describe this fight you've got with Yordenis Ugas and a guy who is hungry?
It's going to be a great fight. Ugas, a guy, like I said, he always comes to fight. He never turned down his collar to fight anybody. But with all respect to, Pacquiao, I feel like I'm a way different fighter than Pacquiao. I feel like at this point right now, I'm a better fighter than Pacquiao. I mean, I keep bringing up Pacquiao, but that's like, Larry Holmes fighting Ali, or Terry Norris beating up Sugar Ray Leonard, or Madonna beating up Eric Morales. Like, Pacquiao's way past his prime. That was the passing of the torch for myself, but I missed the opportunity. So, I'm just going to put on a great performance. Like I said, he's a great fighter. He's going to come to fight. He's a real warrior. But I'm going to put on a great show and great performance for my crowd, and I'm hungry too. Because like I said, this is, my third chance at boxing. So I won't let the opportunity pass me either.
One thing I respect about you, Errol, is although somewhat of a quiet young man, whenever you say something, it comes to fruition. Your moniker's man down. You talked about making a great performance. Could you see yourself stopping Yordenis Ugas April 16th?
We'll see. I don't think I stopped anybody in a while. So, I've been feeling strong. I got nutritionists and things like that. So I feel like, that was the, missing ingredient because, I've been, struggling to make weight for a minute now. And, I feel like that's the main reason of me not stopping anybody, just, killing myself, with a sauna bag on and, running twice a day and things like that. This probably, the first camp in a while that, I haven't put that on, and I'm, small with, no shirt on and training with no shirt on and stuff like that. So, just a breath of fresh air, and it, it's been great this training camp, and I'm actually having fun this training camp, and I haven't had, fun in training camp in a long time. So,
fantastic. We'll wrap it up with this. Yordenis, for the hundreds of thousands, probably even over 1 million people who are going to buy pay-per-view for this fight, 50,000 plus who are going to come out to this stadium to watch you fight Errol Spence, what can you guarantee them on April 16th?
Yordenis, va a haber más de 1 millón de personas viéndote pelear por televisión. Más de 50.000 van a estar acá en el estadio viéndote pelear. ¿Qué le puedes garantizar a esa gente que está tan entusiasmada por verte en el ring?
No, que soy un peleador fuerte, soy un guerrero. He venido de atrás para adelante para llegar hasta aquí. Un hombre comprometido con su carrera, con su familia, con su equipo, con su comunidad. Y entonces, esa noche todo lo que tengo que darle es lo mejor de mí, dar el 100 y más, y va a ser una gran pelea. Promesa.
I can promise you it's going to be a great fight. I'm a warrior. I'm someone that's committed to his family, to his community, to his team. And I'm going to give the fans more than 100% of what I can give. I'm going to leave it all out there. And I can promise you it's going to be something you don't want to miss.
Errol, we'll wrap it up. Same question. Number of people from Dallas who are coming out to support you, million plus that will be buying it on pay-per-view. What can you guarantee they're going to get on April 16th?
They can guarantee fireworks. Ugas, he's got it, like he's a warrior. He's going to come to fight. He's going to give it his all. I'm a guy that's going to give it all. I'm going to come to fight. And it's going to be another great performance for myself. And I'm going to do it in front of my fans and the hometown crowd. And like I said, it's man down, it's strap season. A lot of people watch, Les Brown and Eric Thomas, and he tell you to push through the pain and watch all the motivational speeches and stuff by those people. But, I'm the guy that they're, talking about. I'm the guy that come back at the injury, no physical therapy, just, the will of my mind and my body, and my spirit, and just the motivation of my family and friends, and, push through all the pain and, the stuff that I go through and make it out, become successful and become a winner again. So, if you like them type of stories, you like the, the Kanye West documentary and stuff like that, I'm that guy in the flesh too. So make sure you tune in April 16th. It's going to be a great fight. Man down strap season. Can't wait for April 16th to put on another show, another great performance.
No, there's members of the media who have questions. Just identify yourself and we'll pass the mic for any members up here.
Right here. Errol, Mac Engel, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. It's good to see you. You've had a scary car wreck. You had a pretty scary eye injury. Did you have any moment after the most recent injury where you thought to yourself for a second, a minute, a day, this is over. This is just not going to work out for me. I got to do something else.
Nah, I'm just built different. My mom can attest to that. Even my friend that's here, Jordan. As soon as I got out the hospital, the car crashed. I was staying at a high rise, and it was like on the 24th floor. And my mom was actually, chasing me up the stairs because I was walking up the stairs to get to my high rise, and they wanted me to take the elevator. And I got out the wheelchair, just walked up, and I was just like, I got to get back, to myself. And I was just aching in pain, hips hurting, everything was banged up. But it was just the will just to get back and come back. And even in the, in the hospital, I was saying the opponents that I wanted and who I wanted to fight and things like that, and tell them that, I'm going to come back, and I'm going to fight the best guys. I'm not a guy that's going to take, a tune-up or somebody I know I can beat. I want somebody who, the odds might going to be in my favor, but, it's some people that's going to be better than the other guy too. So for myself, I just feel like, it was no time that I felt like it was over. I just feel like it's going to be a hard road back, and I just got to keep working, and just thanks to the support of my family, friends, and things like that, I got back to it, because after my car crash, I was 190, and, I was big and going through a lot of demons and stuff like that, but, just to make sure that my kids and my family have a better life, I pushed through it, and here I am at this point. So, like I said, I just got to thank, my mom, my dad for just blessing me and installing that grit and that hard work, and just making no excuses and always grinding.
Hi, Carlos Nava, ESPN. This is for Yordenis in Spanish. Yordenis, ¿por qué aceptar esta pelea contra un rival tan complicado, 2 veces campeón del mundo, invicto, en su estadio, en su ciudad? después de vencer a Manny Pacquiao y que quizá pudiste haber tomado otra pelea menos complicada, aunque sea en el papel?
Yordenis, before you answer in Spanish, to translate for the press what the question was is, after fighting Pacquiao, which was a complicated fight on its own, why did you accept this fight, which is really, really hard, a true challenge, when you could have maybe been content with basking in that glory and taking maybe a tune-up fight? Why did you take this fight?
Bueno, no solo tomé la pelea, luché por la pelea, di una guerra para estar aquí en esta pelea. Pienso que es la mejor pelea, una de las mejores peleas en todo el boxeo. Y como dije, dos de los 3 mejores pesos welter del mundo. Y mi idea siempre es pelear contra los mejores. Por eso estoy aquí hoy.
I not only accepted this fight, I pushed for this fight because I want to fight the best. And like I mentioned before, here we are, 2 of the best 3 welterweights in the world. So I want the biggest challenges. I'm here and I'm ready to prove that everything that I did so far wasn't a fluke at all.
Pienso que Spence es de los mejores peleadores del deporte. Y hace 4 años estoy llamando a esta pelea. El único peleador que he llamado en toda mi carrera. Porque para mí es uno de los mejores.
You know how long I've been calling for this fight? How long I've wanted this fight for? 4 years. I have been wanting this for so long. Spence is one of the best in the world. And I'm so glad that now I get to face him like I have wanted for the past half decade.
Over here, Kendrick Johnson, MMA Weekly. This question for both fighters. Whoever wins this fight, will that automatically make you the shot caller at 147 since y'all will have 3 of the 4 belts?
Well, I've been a shot caller, so nah. So that wouldn't matter. I've been a shot caller. You know, like I said, I'm the big fish, especially at 147. So no, that doesn't matter at all.
Oh, sorry. So I thought that was the. So what was saying?
But he has. Does the winner means that he's the shot caller of the division and calls all the shots going forward?
Yeah, sorry, I thought it was for Spence. ¿Crees que el ganador de esta pelea va a ser el que es el rey de la división?
200%. Ganador va a tener 3 cinturones. Pienso que va a ser el mejor de la división.
I just wanted to see the comments.
200%.
And how many
Whoever
people
wins
watch
this fight is going to be the king of this division and the one that calls the shots from now on.
¿Qué tal, Yordenis? Va a ser en español para ATS oficial. Yordenis, sabemos de los problemas que tuvo físicos tu contrincante. ¿Sientes tú que podría ser una ventaja, aunque sabemos que está en perfectas condiciones?
¿Sentís que, do you feel like the fact that you have been active more recently and that you haven't had the setbacks, the physical setbacks that Spence has had, will give you an advantage?
No, pienso que estoy esperando el mejor Spence. Hace 2 años estaba rezando por él, que regresó de un accidente terrible.
I've been waiting for the best Spence to reappear for 2 years now. I was well aware that he had to overcome a terrible accident.
Este hombre tiene 7 vidas. Una cirugía en el ojo no es nada.
And you know what? After that, surgery in his eye, that's nothing. I knew that he could overcome that.
EJ, Jeff Zimmerman, Fight News. How you doing, EJ?
Good.
Hey, assuming all goes well on April 16th, should we expect you to go for undisputed against Terrence Crawford by the end of the year?
We'll see. Like I said, I gotta get past him first. So once I get past him, we'll definitely see. But like I said, you read the shirt, right? All right.
Yordenis, Ariana Figuera de Telemundo Dallas. Tuvimos la oportunidad de hablar pocos días antes de tu combate ante Pacquiao. Me decías, en esa oportunidad querías que resaltar y catapultarte en el deporte. Eso era lo que representaba esa pelea y que te tomaran en serio. Más allá de la unificación de peso en este combate, ¿qué representa esto para ti, Yordenis?
Yordenis, when we talked before the Pacquiao fight, you told us that this was your opportunity to show the world that they need to take you seriously, that you are here to be seen. Now, for this fight, what's the message that you want to send? What's the significance of this fight?
Sí, ha sido un camino fuerte mío. Para llegar a la cima no ha sido fácil. Pienso la pelea con Pacquiao me ayudó. Como digo, mucha gente que que no me conocía me conoce. Esta pelea he llegado aquí por mis propios pies de todas formas a una gran pelea, una pelea que me he ganado con mi trabajo y con mi sacrificio y ganando peleas siempre. Y pienso que estoy aquí, es una pelea legítima, que estoy aquí, he hecho todo para estar aquí, para estar a abril 16.
It's been a long, hard road. I had to go through a lot to get to where I am today. The Pacquiao fight, it did help me, yes, to get to where I am today. But make no mistake, I made it here through my hard work, my resilience, and my skills. And I'm ready to prove that once again here at the AT&T Stadium.
Thank you, and thank you for all your questions. That's going to conclude this press conference. Folks, again, it is April 16th, Showtime pay-per-view. It is a unification fight in the welterweight division, the glamour division. Errol Spence Jr., the IBF, the WBC welterweight champion of the world, taking on the WBA welterweight champion of the world, Yordenis Ugas, right here, AT&T Stadium. Get your tickets at SeatGeek.com. Again, SeatGeek.com. And we will see you on April 16th for one of the most significant fights of the year. Thank you for joining us. Gentlemen, we're going to take some pictures and have a little face-off.
Does it sound like Spence may still have a little bit of issues going on? A little bit. Overall, this is a very, very, very good fight. You know, the winner of this fight deserves the utmost boxing respect. 3 belts on the line, 2 boxers, like highly skilled, like technicians. And I'm going to go ahead and say it. Because of the layoffs, the injuries, and some of the things that I find quite, distressing, I'm going to say that it's a 50-50 fight. Some would say, probably give Spence the edge. But one thing I have noticed from following him on social media is Spence has not been blowing up in weight. His weight has been pretty consistent for some time. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like 160 barely. If that. But Showtime pay-per-view, I'm guessing is going to be $75. The good thing about Showtime is it's high quality content. So which means we're going to get episodes of All Access, maybe a sit down. There is Mr. Adrenochrome right there. Suck all your baby's blood out. Be careful. Now, let me stop joking around. I know I have a little bit of off-color humor sometimes. But I'm hype. I'm going to be covering the fight, obviously. Especially, I ain't got nothing to do in April. I don't got nothing to do in March. Outside of boxing, so I've been really, getting ready for the spring and getting some work done to the house and whatnot for people who have been wondering, what's been going on with me. But yeah, I can't wait to see. So the undercard's supposed to be Radzhab, Butaev versus Eimantas, Stanionis. And then we're supposed to have Cruz returning after losing to Gervonta Tank Davis in a very tough fight against Yuriorkis Gamboa. Ew. And expect one more fight to headline the Showtime broadcast. So one thing we can rely on Showtime is they do their best to put on some pretty good cards. Another story is, why has Fox not picked up the fight? I can understand the whole concept of them being outbid by Showtime, but they've invested a lot in Errol Spence, and the way things are sounding is that Errol Spence, if he wins, is going to be on Showtime even after this fight. That's something interesting to talk about. Anyway, T-Street Controversy with Fight View 360. This is, of course, not the last time I'm going to be talking about this fight. Take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Down below in the description box, links to the WBC app powered by the Vive Network, Roku, Android, Apple. Also the links to my social media, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, etc. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe.